Welcome back to the channel, Crypto Trend Trader, with another morning market update. Before we get started, I'd like to remind you it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. All right, so here we got a couple of our charts brought up here. Looking at gold right here on the left. We obviously got that nice little pushback up and then a massive dump back off, consolidated here. We are basically putting in a flat bottom, sold down to it again. This is holding up our support currently, but it's looking more and more like that's going to be breaking to the downside based on the oscillator indicators as well as price action. And then down here on the bottom, we have the S&P 500. We have currently basically sold off on that Friday close, and then we've just opened now underneath the 8. We sold down to the 21. And it looks like we are getting ready to sell off past that 21. I'm sure we'll find support and push back up to the top of the 8 there. But we flipped over the parabolic SAR to the downside. This is our 4-hour chart. And we've got 2 histograms on the TJD, TD MACD. And also the Stoch slope has flipped over red. RSI is crossed to the downside. And once again, looks like we're going to be selling off. Looks like our next target is probably going to be down to that $3,500 range, down in line with like the 50, 55. The 89 is just below that as well at about 34.50. And then assuming those don't hold, I imagine we'll get some kind of oscillation bouncing around. But to tell you the truth, economy is looking worse and worse. We've got some bullish moves based on, essentially Biden presidency potential, split government potential here in the U.S. and obviously the most recent news on the Big V, and potential scientific moves forward with that. But to tell you the truth, all that stuff gets priced in quick, and then on top of that, this isn't going to affect the S&P, but we had a big move in Tesla as it was announced that it would essentially be getting put into the S&P. And once again, I think these indexes are struggling. They're being propped up essentially by like a couple large companies, like Microsoft, Apple, Google. Essentially like propping up the entire market right now, tech space. And I think Tesla is just like a grab at like one more company to try to prop up like the majority of the other ones. And you got to keep in mind too that they're weighted based on the size of the company. So adding in a massive company like Tesla is going to be like overweight everyone's portfolio in comparison to 475 other companies. I think Tesla is going to be like the top 10 largest companies in the S&P once it's added. So essentially, once again, it's like just one more crutch to try to prop up these index funds. But definitely looks like that's going to be selling off here, continuing to the downside. Not seeing any bullish news. Essentially, like the numbers came out on the vaccines, and they're talking about 90% effective, 95% effective. I can't wait to see like the peer reviews on these things because, if they said 75, it would at least be believable. But if you look at like current flu vaccines or pretty much vaccines for anything, I think like the bare minimum they need to be is like 40 or 50%. And that's our typical flu vaccines like efficacy. So I find it hard to believe that all of a sudden like we have this horrible global pandemic, like the worst one since like the 1800s. And all of a sudden they found like a 95% effective like vaccine. It just doesn't seem believable. It doesn't seem reliable. It just seems like a money grab to me. So we'll see how that goes, see how that plays out. Hopefully I'm wrong. I would love to be wrong this one time for sure. And see them just like come in and vaccinate everybody and cure this thing, but doesn't seem realistic. And in all reality, depending on situation and what happens with it in the near future in the next like year or so, it's more likely at this point in time that before the vaccine is even ready and mass distributed, that we would already just naturally as a species have like, essentially like enough of the population that's gotten this and recovered from it or whatever, that it's not an issue anymore. So we'll see. Again, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think that's likely. And then next here we have Bitcoin on the big chart here, obviously. That is our 4 hour as well. And essentially what we're looking at right now is the Bitstamp chart. We got our essentially potential blow off top. I like how aggressively it got bought back up. Made me think that there's potential. But we did take out, we literally sold off exactly to where we needed to take out the parabolic SAR. Got one more consolidation push up. And then another fairly violent sell-off, bearish engulfing candle. I think maybe just shy of a bearish engulfing, but with another massive wick on the bottom. Once again, it got bought up pretty aggressively, but then got that continuation. I sold quite a bit at 18,000 just after the massive run-up that we've had. My entry basically from that 821 daily cross and being above the 200, it just made sense to take profits on the majority of my holdings. So it's not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. It's not a recommendation for anyone else to sell or anything. We could easily keep going on up to 20, 21, 22,000. There's definitely potential for it. I just think at this point in time, it's just reckless not to just take profits on these positions after how big of a move we've gotten, how aggressive it's been, and essentially the fundamentals and technicals, just nothing has changed since March. Essentially, I understand there's new entries and exits and everything like that, but I don't think the value has just all of a sudden doubled. I mean, we had the having, 4K sell off in March was pretty aggressive, but it was still a higher low. So fundamentally, I'm not bearish on Bitcoin by any means, but feels a lot like the run up to 20,000. All of a sudden, all the people that I was telling about Bitcoin when it was $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, all of a sudden they're asking how do they get it, what do they get, how much do they get, where do they get it, and I just that's exactly what tops feel like. That's exactly what tops feel like in my experience. So I'm more than happy to buy back in at a higher price if something changes. In my opinion, I don't like to call tops. I don't like to call bottoms, but it definitely feels like we're getting very near to a top. I'm expecting a move similar to this at least, where we come back down, get the retest of the 50-55. That would put us around 16,645. So that's a nice sell off from 18,000. Not quite 10%, but if we get down to the 89, which is the next area I'm expecting a test of, we essentially have not gotten that test of the 89 since back in 10,000 here. So it's not unrealistic to think that we're going to come down here and touch the binary pivot and touch the 89 at 16K. We've got obviously a bunch of red histograms on the 4 hour. Obviously got the hard sell and exit of the bullish control zone. Obviously got the RSI crossed over negative. That's everything I take my, signals from essentially in my indicators. So, and if you're not using the indicators, they are free on TradingView. Their names are in the description. You can just search my name on TradingView, or actually it's my publisher name anyway. It's all in the description, so they are free. Highly recommend them. I have video series also on how to use them, but people were asking essentially, when do you determine this is a bull run? When do you get back into the price action or whatever? This is what tells me on the daily I'm on now. When we cross over here at 7,900, 8,000, you'll see we got above the 200 exponential and simple. That's essentially telling you okay, we're back in a bullish uptrend. The slope is positive, although it's basically neutral right here, but we're above it. If you don't want to just buy in after this candle right here, at you'll see it went from 8 to 9,000 in a day. That tells you that people use this. It's very common, very useful. If you don't want to buy in right away, you don't have to. You wait for the retest. It almost always happens. You can front run the retest slightly just to make sure that you don't miss out. But I would have got you in about 8,200. Or if you bought in at that 8,000 range or whatever, it went up to 10,000. So that was a nice move up there, as long as you took profits or had a stop loss in place. But Ever since then, we have not been able to essentially get back to the 200. Every attempted retest was bought back up bullishly ahead of time. So that tells me. Now, the first sign that you're topping out a trend is when like the 8 and the 21 crossover negative. You always get an attempt to save it, and then typically a violent sell-off. And then what you got to pay attention to is, do you stop at the 50s? Do you stop at the 89? Do you stop at the 200? Or do you continue down and then it's eventually like just start flipping all these over negative? So, and if you didn't like that, or you were more into like shorter term positions, you could take the buy right here. When we flipped the parabolic SAR back over green, if you took the buy off of that, that was at 10,929, basically 11,000. And since then, we obviously crept up like another 7,000. And, the parabolic stars stayed green the whole way, with the exception of one red dot right there. And I believe, depending on what exchange you look at, that didn't even get touched on all exchanges. So, but as long as you're above the 8, as long as you're above the 21, as long as you're above the 200, still in a bullish uptrend. So, you're essentially calling the top right here if you do what I did and start getting out at 18,000. But, I mean, the truth is if you wait till we get below the 200, and then you decide we're in a bearish trend now, or we're no longer bullish, or whatever, you're all the way back down at 11,350. So, it doesn't make sense for me. When you're in profit, when you have a nice position, you got to realize those profits, because little slogan or saying or whatever that I really like is, profits aren't real until they're realized. So remember that one. It's very important. And then here, looking at the daily also, we got 2 attempts here. When we got the 2 red histograms in a row, 2 red histograms in a row, still green for now. Could easily see continuation up to 19, 20, 21, 22, 23,000. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but we are still in the bullish control zone here. Just got the hard sell on this candle that we're currently printing. So 9 hours from now, that would print a hard sell. We are still in the bullish control zone though. So what I like to see is 2 red histograms, hard sell, and then exiting the bullish control zone, which is set at 80 currently. So, we're essentially like still up in the 90 range. We have quite a way that we could sell off before we get there. So there's still a way to go before we confirm. But again, don't let greed be the monster. That's what I always look to. And just considering everything going on and positions and everything, just not really interested in sitting around and just waiting. I'm very happy with how things have turned out. This bullish run has been extremely profitable, extremely bullish, great run up. Essentially could be a double top, could easily see new highs. But regardless what happens from here, I think we'll have a better entry. I know people were like trying to FOMO in or getting excited or thinking about FOMOing in, and this is the absolute worst time to buy. When random people, I think, are asking, how do you buy, where do you buy, what do you buy? That tells me, here, take my bags. But there you have it, guys. Crypto Trend Trader. Oh, and we were discussing this actually in the private group also, about essentially like the 2 worst positions you can be in are bag holder and no coiner. If you're following crypto, if you're into crypto, if you like crypto, you should never be a no coiner. And if you're into crypto, you're following crypto, you've watched the past history of crypto, you should never hold bags. Those are the 2 worst positions to be in. Any other position is better than that. So there you have it, guys. Feeling better, still sick, going into this winter season and everything. Obviously the cold has been amplifying things, but overall I'm slowly getting better. I feel my heart goes out to anybody that has not dealt with this yet, that will have to, or that has loved ones dealing with it or whatever, because it is absolutely atrocious. Lasts an extremely long time. It's hard to get any kind of help, treatment, testing, anything like that. There's so much else going on. My heart goes out to anyone that has lost a job, struggling financially. I definitely feel for you. So just make intelligent, smart decisions right now. This is not the time to be, wishing on a star, hoping, This is not a lottery ticket type mentality. You need to be smart and responsible. And number one, most important, pay down high interest debt, take care of your family, and make sure that you are staying active and have healthy habits. I know a lot of people suffer from depression, especially around the holidays, especially in situations like this where you're locked down, you're not getting social interactions, you know, especially if you're single, you don't have a family, a network, or whatever. Even if you do have a family or network, maybe you're the head of household, so everyone's relying on you. Um, just make sure that you have healthy habits. Spend a few minutes when you wake up in silence, thinking about how grateful you are for what you have. You know, pray, meditate, think, whatever it is. Just let open up your mind, let that in, and then you can start your day off more. And make sure that there's other like healthy habits you can be doing. Hygiene is an amazing issue. If you're waking up and not brushing your teeth because you don't have to leave the house, brush your teeth. If you're not showering as much because you're not going to be around anybody and you're not doing any outdoor activities, make sure you jump in the shower. Make sure you put on clean clothes. Sometimes it feels nice to get dressed up. Even if you're not going to leave the house, you don't need to spend every day in sweatpants and, a hoodie or whatever. You can wear some nice clothes, feel good, relax, and then get casual later on or whatever. Make sure for those people that, smoke or, smoke weed or drink or smoke cigars or whatever other bad habits people have, or vices, whatever you want to call it. But vaping, I don't know what other people do for fun, Netflix, movies, whatever it is you enjoy. Make sure that you are doing that and you're enjoying it, but you're not letting it consume you. Make sure you're not watching 14 hours straight of Netflix. Make sure you're not watching a bunch of doom and gloomers nonstop. Make sure you're not spending all day long looking at, presidential campaign stuff or CV news or whatever. There's a lot of healthy things that you can do that make little changes that will help your mentality, help your stability, help your attitude, help you completely. And, if you missed out on part of this rally, took profits too soon, didn't buy Bitcoin you knew you should have, use it as a lesson. It's either a lesson or a blessing, or you can regret it. But the truth is, if you're following the space, you're in the right place, you're still ahead of the masses. So don't worry about it. There's always pullbacks, there's always sell-offs, there's always other opportunities. Even if it was just a learning opportunity and you didn't make that much money, or you lost money, or you lost your Bitcoin keys, whatever the situation is, it's never over. Stay healthy. You will be profitable if you put in the work. Make sure that you are reading books instead of playing on your cell phone. Make sure that you are studying instead of playing games. Make sure that you are taking care of your family instead of worrying about the future. Because, like they say, this too shall pass. So it's always the darkest before the dawn. Unfortunately, I think we're going into night now as winter season approaches and the holidays approach and everything. I know people are going to be struggling. So my heart goes out to you. If you are someone that is struggling financially and you're interested in the private group but just don't have the funds for it at the moment, feel free to contact me. Going to be essentially have someone who's willing to sponsor a couple of people, and I'm willing to match that as well. So if there's someone out there that is interested in learning more and putting in the work and interacting with a positive community and growing their skills and contributing to the space in a way other than monetarily, go ahead and contact me. Notes are in the description. My email's in the description, and get a hold of me and we can work something out. Discreetly, obviously, is fine. So, well, there you have it, guys. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Definitely appreciate all the well wishes, prayers, thoughts, contributions, everything. I'm very glad for the community, very happy for the people in the space, and finally to see crypto catching up to stocks and everything. Hopefully this is just the beginning of a new age, and we'll have a couple year bull market to follow this. But in the meantime, if we do see continuation to the upside, We're essentially looking at our like weekly, monthly closes as our potential targets. We're obviously at the top of the range right here. But as you can see, our weekly all-time high was essentially that close of 19,000, and we did push up almost as high as 20,000. So we could do that easily this week. As far as our monthly close is concerned, we already essentially have come up and closed at that 13,800 mark, which was our previous high right here, and then it was just wicks after that. So if we close this month above where we started, if this candle closes green, that looks extremely bullish. I'm not saying we wouldn't come back down and retest that area. It's obviously a strong support. We have two closes right here, or a close and an open, but essentially two massive candles right there. We have a wick right here, and then we have a close and an open right here as well. So it's a very, very substantial support at 13.7. And no matter what happens with this month, if we come down and retest that, it's extremely bullish over time. And you'll see again that with that red parabolic star in place, when we flip that back over here at 10.8 on the monthly, this is now our second one. We typically get quite a few of these in a row. I just have to be careful because last time this happened, we essentially that was our top right there. But if we get a situation like this, where we essentially take out the previous high and get continuation, we could have, from where we took out that previous high to the all-time high, that was essentially 1,800%. So an 18x basically. So we could see quite a bit of continuation. And not to get like overly bullish right now, but even if we, 18x from here, 10x from here, 15x from here, whatever you want to call it, you're looking at basically like $250,000 Bitcoin. So it's not going to happen overnight, but the potential is definitely there. The technicals are lining up as we've been saying. Fundamentals are lining up as we've been saying. So let's keep our fingers crossed, but keep a good head on our shoulders. If you're not comfortable trading or whatever, dollar cost averaging in is great. Dollar cost averaging into an uptrend is always better than into a downtrend. I would much rather be dollar cost averaging on the way up than on the way down, because you never know when the bottom's going to be, never know when the top's going to be. So, crypto trend trader, and I'm out of here.